Welkom allemaal, we zijn hier voor MVS in de India Film Festival in Amsterdam. We zijn hier met Onir, de regisseur van de film My Brother Nikhil. Welcome to Amsterdam. Are you enjoying it?
Hi, thank you so much. The weather is very welcoming, I must say. But it feels good to be back in Amsterdam because this is where I had my first ever international screening of My Brother Nikhil. So I like Amsterdam.
What do you think of the festival? Have you had a chance to take a look at anything?
I will be seeing some films tonight. And I think it's an important step to also introduce Amsterdam to a different aspect of India. Otherwise you always see just this colorful cultural side of India. So I think it's very, very important that there is a section which is Gay India, and that's been also introduced to people in Amsterdam.
I know about the lesbian movie from a couple of years before yours that caused a whole uproar. Are there anything else?
First of all, the other film which you're talking about is a film called Fire by Deepa Mehta. That was actually a Canadian production which is set in India, and there is a big difference between a film which is produced in India with gay theme or lesbian theme, which is like very, very rare. In India, the problem is because of Article 377, homosexuality is criminalized by law. So though when you walk around the street, you feel that it's a very it's not a homo-friendly society, because you'll see men holding hands, sitting on each other's lap, hugging, kissing. It's all very normal. But the minute you term it as gay, it's not something that is accepted easily. Similarly, under law, if you are caught in a homosexual act, intercourse, then you can be imprisoned for life, So I cannot say that, it's thriving, of course, because there are enough gay men, but under fear, under repression. At the end of the day, it's a law which was implemented by the British in India, and they're gone, and we are still hanging on to old archaic laws. And I'm hoping, because now there's a lot of discussion around the law, the scrapping, changing the law, so I hope that things are going to change soon.
And I imagine that as a gay director, you are producing in India, you're caught in a difficult position. You're not allowed to be very provocative with your movies. You have to try to appeal to the masses.
One of the central themes of the film is a gay theme, but I knew if this was perceived as a gay film, people wouldn't come and see the film, and for me it was very, very important that people in India see the film, and that was one reason why the film was called My Brother Nikhil and not My Lover Nikhil, because it was telling the story of a brother from the point of view of a sister, which is again a very special relationship in India, and how the audience start loving this character till they discover that he's gay, and by then they're already liking the character, so they don't easily reject it. So it was very, very careful positioning, because I wanted it to be released in mainstream theaters where people get to see the film.
I think I also read on the internet that you didn't want it to be a movie for a film festival type of audience, that you wanted it to be for the common people?
Yeah. For me it was, again, that's why the language of the film, the codes that's used are very traditional Indian cinema, like there's music, there's songs, the film centers around the family, which is very important in India, and I wanted to do it like that because I didn't want my film to be just going to festivals and people whom it's meant for don't see it, And though after the film got released, it has traveled to over like 30 international festivals, got about 10 international awards. But for me, that was like a bonus that came, that was not planned.
What do you think Indian artists can contribute in the terms of the gay culture or gay acceptation?
I feel what they can contribute is basically it's humanity at the end of the day. It's basic human emotions, and I think we have such a huge population of gay people that at the end of the day, any step which is a contribution towards the gay community in India is a contribution to the gay community in the world. It's fighting for rights which are denied to people all over the world. It's only very few countries where it's legal, where same-sex partners can have legal rights.
You mentioned before the movie started that you had to acknowledge, or you had to pretend that the events of the movie were not real, but in fact they were. Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Yeah. Actually, this is something which is based on a real-life story of this guy called Dominic D'Souza, who was the first known HIV-positive person in Goa. way back in 1986, and I had read about him and somehow what happened to him, how he was arrested, and his whole story stayed with me, and it used to trouble me. And it has various layers of emotion that I can deal with. And I thought that let me make a film on him. But at the same time, I wanted it to be inspired by his story. I didn't want to do a documentary on his story. Specific reason is because his family still does not want to acknowledge the fact that he's gay. One. Secondly, the minute put it as a documentary film, there's a lot of legal censorship issues that comes in. Okay, and even as a film, I wanted to put it as like inspired by a real story. But when I was showing the film to the censor board, they made it very clear that you have to put a card saying that it's all fictitious, otherwise the censor will not pass. And I thought about it, and I said the format of the film is that of a docudrama, where people are talking to the camera, and when you see the film, you realize that it has something real in it. It's not a fairy tale that happened to a fictitious person. There's something very personal about the way people talk and narrate the story. I live on my own, and most of my friends live on their own. It's not easy to live a life with a partner, because you have no legal rights. You don't. Two men living together in a house is very easy, to rent a house, as long as you don't tell people that you're a gay couple. But it is always a life of lie. Actually, very often people, are embarrassed to use the word gay, and very often they come to me and tell me in screenings in India, especially, that you've shown their friendship in a very beautiful way. And recently, actually, there was this nearly 60-year-old, 65-year-old professor who, at a screening, who was an ex-professor, came to me and said that, when I was young and I was gay, I never thought that I would live the day when I can see a film like this in India. And thank you so much. And he was just crying. He said, I'm so happy that this has happened. And now I know that we can look for more. So there is this, in the gay community, a lot of people are very happy with the film because they have used it also to come out to their families, shown it to their parents. A lot of discussion has started in India where they use the film as a medium. Like one of the very important examples I'll give you is that I had a screening for the army in one of the army camps, very important army camps, where the President of India was visiting. Because it's also looked upon as a film which deals with HIV positive issues regarding AIDS and HIV. And the army general came up to me and says, look, this is an army setup. We can't talk about homosexuality. Okay, it's a taboo in the army. But you are an outsider. The president is here. When you're talking about the film, just talk about it. And I thought, wow.
And you are releasing a new film next week. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about that?
I'm always as nervous. It's my third film. And in India, somehow the kind of films that I do are always about relationships, which is supposed to be forbidden relationships. And even this film deals with a certain theme like that. So at the same time, I'm using the mode of romance and comedy this time because I want to see how I can go to a wider audience. I'm apprehensive because it's next week. So it was nice to get over here and breathe because once I'm back there, it's like a lot of stress.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to keep an eye on the new film and good luck with that.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.